Hello again, Guy from Midwinter Minis here. In this video I'm going to show you how to create your very own DIY dip wash using easy to find materials. First off, you'll need to have everything ready and close at hand before you begin. So to create this wash you'll need an artist's ink in the colour of your choice, a bottle of acrylic medium, some PVA glue, some dish soap or washing up liquid, some water, a small container to measure your parts, and a container to mix and keep your dip wash in. To keep things simple but accurate, I'm going to be measuring everything in parts rather than being vague and saying a drop of this and a bit of that. We'll be using parts so you can create as much or as little of this modelling wash as you like and get the same results every time. I'll be using this little 2 centilitre plastic cap to measure everything out, so in this video, one part will be 1 cap full of liquid measured to the 2 centilitre line. Before you begin, you'll want to decide what colour of wash you'd like to create. As we're making our own, it's totally up to you. For this example, I'm going to be trying to match the wash I used in my speed painting sandstone necrons tutorial. If you haven't already seen that video, add it to your watch later playlist as it's full of nifty tips and tricks on creating cool texture and glow effects on miniatures. The colour of the wash comes from acrylic artist's ink. If you wanted to create a black wash, simply use black ink. Sepia will create a sepia wash, and so on. So let's start by creating one part of ink. My blend will mostly be burnt umber with a little touch of black to darken it down, bringing it closer to a traditional artist colour known as Van Dyke Brown. I'm using De La Rowney acrylic artist ink, but feel free to use any equivalent ink. Liquitex or Winsor & Newton also make great inks. I filled this measure with burnt umber ink almost to the 2 centilitre line, and now I'll add a little black to darken it down. Now pour this ink into your container. Next we'll add our medium. This will stop the acrylic binder of the ink from breaking down and creating tide marks as it dries. You can either use acrylic matte medium or gloss painting medium. I'm using Hobbycraft painting medium. Measure out one part up to the line and add it to the container. Because I mostly use this dip wash for terrain pieces, sealing texture paints and fixing debris in place, I'm going to add some PVA glue to the mix. PVA glue is a vinyl polymer and does a very similar job to the acrylic medium, stopping the ink from separating, while at the same time making your models a bit more robust when it dries. For this step, I'm using craft PVA from Hobbycraft. Be aware that not all white glues are the same. For example, this Blue Tack white glue is far too thick to use. You want to use a glue that's got a nice fluid, gloopy consistency. Measure out one part of PVA glue and add it to the container with the medium and ink. Make sure to scrape this out as much as you can, as it'll stick to the sides of your measuring device. If you're never going to use this wash to fix textures, just add one more part of medium instead of PVA. Once your ink, medium and glue are in the container, stir everything up. Now it's time to add water. While any water will do, the tap water where I live in the southeast of England is quite mineral rich, known as hard water. It's totally safe to drink, but it leaves scum in your tea. Ugh. Because I don't want any of this scum appearing in my wash, I'm using condensed water taken from my dehumidifier. If you live in a hard water area like me, you can get around this by using bottled water. If you live in a soft water area, your tap water will be fine. If in doubt, just use bottled water, you won't need much. Measure out 8 parts of water and add them to your container. Remember to only fill to the 2 centilitre line. The water will dilute everything down and get the overall consistency right. Finally, add a little squirt of dish soap into your container. The dish soap is a surfactant and lowers the surface tension of the water. This will help improve the flow of the wash over your miniatures and reduce pooling. This is the only step that isn't measured in parts. A few drops will do, and it's better to put in too little than too much. You can always add a few more drops later if you find the wash is pooling too much. Put the lid on your container, give it a good shake, and leave it to settle. Go grab a coffee or something and wait for the bubbles to pop. At this point, you'll want to test your wash to see how things look. I've primed and base coated a few little test pieces to see how things go. Dip the model and tap the excess off. You can use a dry brush to wick away the excess that's pooling and leave the models to dry. You should be able to see the lighter colour of the base paint shining through and a nice darker tone of the wash in the recesses. No tide marks, very little staining, just a great, quick, effective shade. See how similar the colour is on these test models? That's what we're looking for. Where the shade is most concentrated, you might notice that it has a glossy finish. This shouldn't be a problem while you're painting your miniatures, but you'll want to dull it down with a matte finish and protect your models with a matte varnish once you're finished painting. If your test piece looks a little dark, add one more part of water to the dip wash. Mix it well and try again. Once you're happy with your creation, make a label for it so you never forget what it is. To finish up, let me show you how it looks on some bases. Here's some 25mm Games Workshop bases, gritted, primed and base coated with a few different colours. From left to right we have Zandri Dust and Avalanche Sunset from Citadel, and Iron Curtain, Elm and Shock White from Montana Gold. Remember that blue tack white glue I mentioned earlier? I used it to add texture to one of these bases. I think it's pretty obvious which one. After a quick dip and a few hours drying, here are the results. Instantly cool looking, ready to game bases that are tough and durable. With that extra PVA, they stand up to punishment pretty well. The odd one out here is the base that I used the blue tack white glue on, painted in Avalanche Sunset. It's dried much thicker, even though I diluted it more than the Hobbycraft PVA, and it hasn't left the deep recesses in the dirt texture for the wash to creep into. As I said, not all white glue is created equal. Anyway, that's it for now. If you like this video, make sure to subscribe. My videos are pretty irregular, but hopefully you find them useful. If you know someone who might enjoy this video, please recommend it to them. I love to hear your feedback and requests in the comments. And that's it for this video. Bye for now.